So welcome back to another Player 2 E3 2021 Summer of Gaming, whatever the hell we're calling it, season of gaming I think on our end, because it's not summer here. Those Northern Hemisphere folk that think it's all about them. Games events of June sort of wrap up. We're focusing on Nintendo today, and I've brought fellow editor at Player 2, Jess, along with me. Thanks for coming on board.
Hello. Yeah, no worries. Always happy to be here and chat.
Yeah, I mean, you've been for anyone who's bounced around on the YouTube channel, you've been seeing Jess more and more recently as she starts doing more and more Player 2 plays. Some really, really cool content coming out of Jess there, and then obviously all the awesome written stuff as well. So make sure to check all of that stuff out. But as I foreshadowed a moment ago, you're here to talk Nintendo. You've obviously done a lot of that in the last 24 hours anyway, and I'll reference your incredible Jess. Was manning the fort when it came to the Play 2 Twitter feed for the Nintendo Direct. Matt wasn't able to do it. I think he just crashed and burnt. I think if I remember the exchanges right, so he was pretty well spent. You took on the reins and did a fantastic job. So if anyone wants to get a bit of an insight into Jess's 2 to 3 a.m. delirium while a Nintendo Direct is running, then make sure to go check out the Play 2 Twitter feed from, I guess, 24 hours ago, roughly as of when we record this. But like I said, we're here to talk Nintendo. We'll kind of roll through the event fairly sequentially for the most part. We might go off on tangents or whatever, which leaves us to kind of begin things with Smash Brothers and a new character reveal. Mm-hmm. What did you make of, is it Kazuya? I'm not a Tekken guy. Like, how do we pronounce this name? Do we know?
Yeah, Kazuya?
That sounds far more genuine than my horrible
in my knowledge
approach.
of well my learning of Japanese language, not of knowing anything about Tekken, so
that's a good point.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a Tekken person either. I saw Ganon at the beginning and was like, Zelda, and it wasn't Zelda at all.
No, he got thrown off a cliff, as did Kirby, which was all
very yeeted.
The Kirby one was great.
Yeah. I genuinely thought Kirby was going to come back up and kick him in the face.
Well, Kirby can fly, sort of hover, bounce like a bubble, whatever we call that.
Yeah.
But okay, Kirby plunged to his death. It is what
it is. No, he
came
back up. He just didn't exact his revenge. So
yeah, it's a good point actually. Yeah. The inclusion though, in terms of Smash, do you play much Smash?
Oh, a bit, not heaps.
Does this do anything for you at all?
It doesn't really do anything for me because I'm not really a Tekken person.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll do things for Tekken people, but at the same time, like, if you wanted to play a Tekken character in a fighting game, would you not just play Tekken?
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my argument when we saw Tekken characters in the past, Street Fighter fighters in the past. It just doesn't make a great deal of sense. But I guess there's probably money being exchanged along the way and every party's happy, so I guess it's probably good for Tekken, if nothing else, in terms of presence and being seen and visibility with Nintendo fans. So I guess there's maybe something in it for them.
Yeah.
But a game that definitely, or a franchise that definitely speaks a lot to you and was next in the sequence of events here was Life is Strange, the remastered collection, as well as True Colors, that are both coming to the Switch. You lit up.
I did. I love Life is Strange so much. It means so much to me as a franchise. And it genuinely, I will never forget the first time I played Life is Strange when it came out. And I just want it to be everywhere. I just want it to be on every platform. So, it was exciting to see it and to see, the little animation that went with it, the little announcement of like,
that was a nice animation, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple, but effective.
Yeah, simple, but really sweet. And yeah, kind of the second I heard the music happen, I was like, oh, it's coming. It's Life is Strange. There it is. And it's not a groundbreaking announcement as far as things go. Like, they announced a lot of cool stuff in the Nintendo Direct, but it was fun for me to just.
But you could see a game like True Colors or just Life is Strange full stop being a good game to just take with you on the Switch, like maybe pop it in portable mode and off you go. Like it's good in that space, and it could sell quite a few copies on the Switch just as a result of that. Sure, it's not going to be the best looking version of the game, but it doesn't necessarily need to be either. I think it's got its own style or whatever. I mean, I have to say the first game, when I went to play the first game years ago, There's a lot I loved about it, but I was so pushed away by the hella, the overuse of the phrase hella. But I've liked everything I've seen from the sequels, the prequel, even with Before the Storm, from Captain Spirit. I've got them all on my PlayStation. I just need to actually commit the time to going back to them because, like I said, I really liked the core of Life is Strange. It was just that one word and the overuse of it that just drove me mad.
Yeah, I think I went the opposite way and just like adopted it into my vocabulary after that.
Nice.
I just started accidentally saying it. And I hate myself for it, but it's fine. It's just, sometimes it's like when you watch too much of a TV show and you just start talking like the characters.
Maybe I just didn't give it enough of a go in that
just
space.
A bit of that.
I think I played
but
it
I totally get it.
I think.
Oh, no, like, it was ridiculous. Like, it was absurd. They should not have used that word. It's not a word that anyone uses.
No.
Like, I've never met, like, teen girls that actually say it as often as they seem to think teen girls do. So it was absurd.
But the promise of True Colors and then the remaster collection, it just says kind of later this year. Given True Colors is coming out in September, there's not a big window of time there, so we're going to be playing it sometime shortly after True Colors, regardless. That's really great to hear for yourself as a big fan of the franchise. Others in the same boat, and I'm pretty keen to go back and give them a go myself. So really good news in that space.
Yeah.
Next thing on the list was Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think probably took all of us by surprise because the Switch just shouldn't be able to run a game like that, and we've since learnt that it's the cloud version. So that kind of answers that one, which is, I guess, great to see in the end then. Guardians of the Galaxy has been one of the big talking points of E3 this year. Good to see that the Switch is getting it, albeit a very specific way. And those of us here in Australia probably aren't going to enjoy it very much on the Switch.
No.
Did you like
everywhere.
Guardians of the Galaxy? The
film?
What we saw the films, or even what we saw from the game the other day?
I mean, the game looks more fun than I think the film was for me. I want to like the film, but I'm just really rubbed the wrong way by some of like the humor in it. Some of it's great and hilarious, and fan of like Groot and Gamora's general air of being just done with the world. But the game looks fun. Like it's a good collection of characters for a game like that. Like they have an interesting set of powers that should work well together. So the game should be good.
And it'll be good for the Switch, albeit the cloud version probably not here in Australia.
No, probably not.
The next game was one that I think that you kind of breezed over during the stream, and I must say I kind of breezed over a little bit in retrospect as well. Worms Rumble's coming to the Switch. Just another Worms game.
Yeah. There was a period they were just coming real quick, and so in the time it took me to register what was going on at 2 a.m.
Those sizzle reels can be killers sometimes.
Yeah, God. I have to say I've never played a lot of Worms.
Yeah, I played a few way back in the day, and that's about it. And it doesn't seem to have evolved all that much.
No, not heaps. I'm sure there'll be some people that'll be really, really psyched, but
not us.
Yeah. No, not us.
In that same little sizzle reel there, we also saw that 2 Point Campus is coming to Switch. That was obviously officially revealed the other day, leaked a little bit before that, but that's great to see again. I think in a totally different way to Life is Strange, but also a very good game for the Switch. I think you'd probably agree.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the style of 2 Point Hospital, presumably 2 Point Campus, will lend itself really well to that. Yeah, for sure.
What about Super Monkey Ball?
Monkey Ball is...
Do you have any affinity?
Look, it's one of those... I don't really, but it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, why? Because I should have been the prime audience for Super Monkey Ball. And I just somehow missed it, and I'm not sure why. And I think maybe I'll get into it now. Like, maybe seeing
this might be the avenue.
One. Yeah, it really might be.
So it's a remaster of 1 and 2 plus deluxe. It's the way I'm reading it here, but So okay, so there's 3 games in there. October 5. Yep. But I must say,
are you a fan?
No, and not because I think they're bad games. Like, they've just never really spoken to me, and I've never had the opportunity to pick up and play one so that it might potentially change my mind. So I think a little bit similar to you, maybe a lack of exposure has kind of resulted in a bit of a nothing sort of feeling, I suppose.
I'm not sure why I have a nothing feeling though. Like, I was kind of young and had like Nintendo at the time that it would have made sense for me to be playing it, but
just didn't happen.
Just didn't happen.
I'm sure you probably spent a bit of time playing this next franchise like I did. Mario Party Superstars was announced.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's kind of bringing 100 mini games from mostly the 64 era, from what I can tell. There's certainly like a few of the screenshots and a few of the clips showed some very familiar maps from kind of mostly Mario Party 1 through to 3, as well as some of the mini games.
Birthday cake.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. So October 29th for that. Does that speak to you? Did you spend a lot of time playing Mario Party like I did as a kid?
I absolutely did. And I was an only child, so I didn't really have anyone to play Mario Party with.
Wailing on the computer.
Did a lot of like wailing on the computer, a lot of playing like the minigame island kind of games. I remember I got so enthusiastic about trying to win that one where you were like on a bike and you had to pedal really fast to light up this lamp so that Boo wouldn't get you. And I did it so hard that I injured my palm because I'd gone like so quick on the stick. Yep. And I wasn't allowed to play anymore after that. Wasn't allowed to play that specific minigame anymore. But
which is hard because it just falls into the rotation sometimes. You can't help it. Like
does.
Tug of War, for example.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was more careful. I used to put like a sleeve or like a piece of fabric or something between my hand and the
protect the palm.
Control after that. Yeah.
Protect the stick as much as you can as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty keen to get into it though.
But yeah, for sure.
Online as well.
Especially now that I like have friends that I can play with. Yes, and online, so only children now have less of a problem with playing Mario Party with other people.
No more excuses, all right?
No, got to get good at Mario Party.
Maybe we'll get some of us Player 2 folks together and we'll... Oh, that could be an amazing Player 2 plays. Or the worst one ever too.
I think both.
Fine line.
Will we escape with a friendship intact? Hard to say, but I think it'll make for a good video.
Yeah. Yeah, the relationships could be fractured, friendships could be broken, but the content could be great. So I guess it's all worth it, right? It's just
obviously. That's why we do things, right?
The next point here was kind of we'll give with one hand and take away with another. So Nintendo first outlined that Metroid Prime 4 is still in development and that they're not going to be showing anything from it today. But then we'll show you this other thing, which turned out to be the very long dormant Metroid Dread, or specifically it's kind of Metroid 5 in terms of the 2D side-scrolling ones and that narrative that was built decades ago. Did Metroid Dread do much for you at all?
It wouldn't have. I've kind of feel not much for it. But after the direct, they showed a little bit of gameplay, and I was kind of, watching them play through a bit of it. Could be fun. It actually looks kind of alright.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. I do have this nagging thing in the back of my mind that Mercury Steam's working on it now. They did make some great games like the original Castlevania Lords of Shadow. But then they also made the sequel, which is horrible, and that just leaves me a little bit anxious about this. But I guess with Nintendo probably breathing down their neck every step of the way, you would like to think that bodes fairly well.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. Sorry.
We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see in that space. But look, it's good news. It's exciting news. For some reason, the thread I was looking at is just completely stopped. So I'm scrolling back through to find the next thing here. But
Twitter kind of went off. People on Twitter seem excited.
The Amiibo sold out instantly at EB. So thankfully, I had Amazon open and I staffled one there.
Nice.
But, look, I'm really keen on it. It should be a good game.
Yeah, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Another couple games that they blasted through next. So there was a montage video that showed off Just Dance 2022. There was Cruisin' and Blast. We also got a little look at Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which was obviously one of the bigger anime-based games of last year that's now coming to the Switch as well, with some of the DLC in there. Does Dragon Ball Z, or specifically that game, carry any weight with you?
It doesn't. Dragon Ball Z is something that I to watch before school in the morning, but haven't really interacted with it since then. I don't know. It seems like it would lend itself to making fun games. Have you played them?
I played Kakarot, only because there was kind of the promise it was kind of an RPG. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm a little bit over these Dragon Ball Z. Okay, we're just jumping in and we're punching each other in the face and try and replicate the big fights from the franchise, which this kind of does, but it's got that more systemic, those systemic layers behind it as well. And I quite liked it. It's not a brilliant game, but as an old fan of the franchise from back in the day, hitting a lot of nice nostalgic spots, getting to engage in it in a way that's not just a brawler was nice. I enjoyed it, and it'll probably do fairly well on the Switch as well. So that's great to see in that space. Yeah. We learned a little bit more about Mario. Is it Power Golf? I don't know.
Yes.
I've not paid close enough attention to it because Matt Houston's just said, I'm taking this game and reviewing it no matter what. So I've just kind of almost toggled it out of my mind.
Yeah. Just not let myself get attached to it.
Yeah, because I'll only be brokenhearted at the end of it.
Yeah.
But what are you thinking? Obviously, they didn't necessarily show a huge amount. They outlined that there's going to be some free updates and those sort of things. Are you keen on it at all?
They showed some Mario characters certainly playing golf is really how I feel. I think it'll probably be pretty fun. I don't know. I played a little bit of Mario Golf before, not heaps. It looks alright.
Look, you've played more Mario Golf than me, then I can't stand golf as a sport. Admittedly, there's some good video game golf games, especially things that are more arcadey and clearly trying to have a bit of fun, like Everybody's Golf, for example. But I can't say that to this point I've actually played a Mario Golf game, so this might be the first. It does look pretty good for golf.
Did you ever play Golf Story on the Switch?
Oh yeah, sorry, I did play Golf Story. I almost don't count that because of how
I mean, it was different.
Completely ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And totally like an RPG instead, but
it
is awesome. And I can't wait for Sports Story, but that was a no-show at E3, so it's a bit of a shame.
Sadly, it is.
The next one is one that also you mentioned, a bit of buzz. This one got a lot of buzz too, which is Warioware. Warioware's back.
Yeah.
It was kind of
co-op.
Yeah, which is really fascinating. It was signposted recently because Nintendo was sent out a survey to people after, I think, is there a WarioWare mobile game or something that's somewhere?
Oh, there might be.
Because they kind of sent out, it was like one of their Nintendo surveys, and it was, how much would you pay for a WarioWare on the Switch? And that naturally sets off red flags. Like, why would you be asking this if you're not making a game? I don't know that necessarily people expected it to surface so soon, but here it is. It's coming out fairly imminently, September 10th. Do you like WarioWare?
A little. Yeah, I like the chaos of WarioWare. I haven't really played one since like the DS, but
I'm in the same boat.
But yeah, I enjoy it. I think it'll be fun with friends for sure. It's the perfect kind of chaos to play co-op.
Did they? I don't recall from the presentation. I struggled to kind of imagine it online, but did they mention whether there was any online support or anything like that at all?
God, I don't remember.
Neither do I. Sorry, I've tossed you under the bus there.
No, it's fine. I don't know. Let's quickly have a look.
That's all right. You might have a bit of a dig in the meantime, but yeah, I mean, like yourself, I think I probably tapped out at the DS, and it wasn't because I was frustrated with them. They're always good little bite-sized things. I always really associated them as being good car games. So before I had my license, for example, before I was old enough to drive, the parents said, we'd be going out somewhere with the family or whatever, and I'd just sit in the back seat with a DS or a GBA or whatever in my hand, and I'd play them. But since I've become mobile, those opportunities evaporated, and when I put WarioWare against a lot of other titles that Nintendo makes, or just stuff on my PlayStation or my Xbox, or hell, even PC. Not that I'm much of a PC guy. It's never really been appealing enough, but I'm willing to give it another go, I suppose. I'm not closed-minded to it.
Yeah, no.
Very small doses.
Okay. For the record, the Nintendo website says go it alone or with a friend in 2-player cooperative play on the same system or via local wireless. So
okay. Close.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't want to overload their horrible online systems anyway.
Oh yeah, look, it's not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm willing to give it a go. I'm willing to open my heart to WarioWare.
Yeah, I'm not closed. Am I totally open? Not yet, but I'm not closed. So I guess that's something. We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
Does Shin Megami Tensei do anything for you at all?
It means nothing to me. Teach me about what Shin Megami Tensei is. She had great blue hair.
Just really overly anime JRPG for the most part. It's in the same family as Persona, so if you're familiar with Persona, that and for anyone listening or watching, it's kind of not overly tuned into Shin Megami Tensei either. It is the parent franchise to Persona, Persona being then the spin-off and ultimately the far more successful franchise. But this is very much in the same mold. I played the third one earlier this year, actually for the first time as a part of that remaster, and I played that for review. I thought it was okay at best. Apparently, like lots of people loved it back in the PS2 era. I think because there was no real upgrades for the most part outside of an easy mode added to the remaster. I just didn't really see the appeal at all. It felt quite dated in a lot of ways. Which obviously this is a brand new release that may not face the same issues here. Visually, it does look striking. I'll give it that.
It does,
but I don't know if I'll play it. No. November 12th.
Yeah. I mean, it looks interesting. It's one of those series where I've always, again, this long list of things that I'm like, I should look into that, and I just never do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got some elements that are kind of interesting to me, I guess. But as all games of its type seem to be, it seems like it would be a huge commitment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd imagine 70, 80 hours or something like that.
Yeah. A lot of time.
It's not time that most of us have up our sleeves for a franchise that we just want to kind of dip our toes in and potentially explore.
Yeah. Yeah, not heaps.
While we're kind of continuing down this quirky anime style of path, does Danganronpa do anything for you at all?
So I tweeted about it quite. I took a stance in my tweets. So I played the first two, because I like the gameplay of Danganronpa, but it's just so problematic. Like, I cannot deal with the way that they talk about women and the way they talk about queer characters. It's like deeply offensive, but I really like the gameplay, so I want them to make a good one that's less offensive.
I've certainly heard that feedback a bit over the journey. Now, I haven't actually played them, so I've kind of heard that criticism, but don't really know the how or why. But it would be nice if, to your point, they could avoid that horrible side and just focus on making an engaging game.
Yeah, because I mean, it's cool. It's kind of detective-y, and you go around and you're trying to like solve crimes and stop deaths and stuff. And obviously, I'm into that kind of game. But yeah, it's just a lot. So
on the actual kind of platform, the console wars side of things, not that Danganronpa's a big seller either way, but that has been long associated with PlayStation. So it is interesting. Like, it was born and bred on the Vita initially, came across to PS4, but not really a factor on the Switch at all. Now we're discovering as a result of this that all of the games are going to be coming, as well as this new title, Danganronpa Decadence. So, I guess great for fans of the franchise or that genre, and interesting to see what it means. Will it come across to PlayStation? Probably, but we'll see soon
presumably.
enough. Yeah. Again, still kind of continuing down this quirky Japanese style path. Fatal Frame. Have you had much to do with Fatal Frame over the journey?
I haven't. It's one of those games that came out and was, too spooky for me before I decided to be a person who played a bunch of spooky games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might play this one, because I'm, I don't know, brave and strong now.
Maiden of Blackwater, the subtitle.
Yeah, Project Zero, something like that.
Lots of code names and all that sort of thing, but coming to Switch this year.
Yep. It's a cool concept. I think it'll probably lend itself well to the Switch. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Again, on Twitter, people were pumped.
Yeah, and I guess that's maybe, we'll touch on this, I think, the further we get through through this show, but it seems like there's, we've mentioned a number of games here in a row that we're not overly into. But then there's a whole bunch of others. It really does seem like Nintendo hit a sweet spot here where here's something for you and here's something for you.
Yeah.
And you've got this, one or two games here, and everyone seems happy because they've got a couple games that are in their wheelhouse. And they can ignore the rest if they want. But they've got their two or three that they can walk away happy with. Would you got kind of the same vibe?
Yeah, I feel like more than any other conference. Like the Xbox one was good, but the Nintendo one I think did the best job of really being like, here is a diverse range of games. There is something here that everybody will be able to play, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox was good if you like guns still. As much as it was diverse, it ultimately still culminated in you shooting someone in the face, most likely. So
yeah.
or a monster of some sort in the face. So
Yeah.
that same criticism that's always been directed at Xbox continues, but Nintendo did do a fantastic job in that space.
Yeah.
Another wave of little mini updates. We saw Doom Eternal, the Part 1 DLC from the Ancient Gods. That's available today, or now, I suppose. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming June 25th. So that's a week, 2 weeks away now. And Strange Brigade, which has been this kind of really under the radar, but surprisingly quite popular little third-person shooter, looter, that's also coming to the Switch today. So that's great in that space. But the next big one that, again, speaking to different crowds and them all popping off about different things, Advance Wars really got a lot of people excited.
So many people. People were pumped.
Are you?
I'm not. Well, I am for everybody else. I'm
But not
excited
for
that all of
myself.
these other people have Advance Wars. I never played it.
Neither did I, actually. I like the core concept, but I never played it.
No.
People
Again,
seem a bit riled up about the art style. That's the only criticism I've seen.
some people seem to not love it, but I kind of liked it. It was bright, colourful. I'm into it.
Yeah. I don't know. Those kind of turn-based-y tactical games do speak to me. I just never...
Yeah.
This was a period where I was still dependent on the parents for games, so I didn't play it as a result because they didn't pick it up. But December 3rd might be finally an opportunity for maybe the both of us even to try it out and see if we're a fan.
Maybe we will be.
Another Hyrule Warriors update where we're seeing what's it called? The Wave 1, the Pulse of the Ancients. That's June 18, so this week. Coming to the eShop there. So that's fantastic. And that kind of kicked off a little mini wave of Zelda content.
Yeah, they did like this little fake out when they were like, oh, we just have one last little segment, and then they announced the Hyrule Warriors thing, and it kind of seemed like, oh, okay, that's it. That's the thing that they're announcing. And then they were like, and also we have the Game & Watch, and also, yeah. So it was
for a split
cute
second,
little,
it was
fake out.
their Metopia moment, with the fireworks. Like, we'll have one more thing to send you out on. It's fireworks in Metopia. And oh my god. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Nintendo Land, I should say, not Metopia. But yeah, so there was Hyrule Warriors. EJ Enuma came out and he spoke about the Game & Watch, as you mentioned there a moment ago.
Yep.
It's got 3 old Zelda games on it. That's pretty neat. I
That's pretty
pre-ordered
neat.
one. I couldn't help myself.
Sure. I'm going to. I'm into it.
I'm a slave to that stuff.
Yeah,
and Zelda.
absolutely.
So here we are.
Yep.
But to your point, it did kind of kick off that wave there, and we did think it was kind of all done and dusted. And then we got this this Zelda rock block at the end there, which did include what everyone had been looking forward to, Breath of the Wild 2.
It did.
Coming 2022. That is an important disclaimer and blew up everyone's thoughts when it came to the Switch Pro. But that's a conversation we'll get to shortly.
Well, I mean, yes, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
What did you think of Breath of the Wild 2?
Look, I mean, I thought there's just no way in my mind that it can be bad. Like, I'm fine with them taking all the time they want to take to make Breath of the Wild 2 like an amazing game. The first one was gorgeous. It's going to be in the same world. It's going to also be gorgeous. I don't want to jinx it, touch wood, whatever, but I don't see it going badly. There's some cool, sky combat stuff. Like it's
Yeah, it seems to be leveraging a bit of Skyward Sword in that sense, which I guess that's out in a month. The remaster of that, but it does seem to be leaning on that in terms of you can spend all this time up in the clouds. Even Link's haircut and the way he falls, everything's very reminiscent of Skyward Sword in that sense. But it looks pretty good, I guess. Yeah. So you were a big fan of the original Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
I wasn't. Because of the weapon degradation and all the things that haven't been Zelda, and the very few criticisms that are laid at that game are all the ones that I take issue with as well. Unfortunately, there's so
cooking,
many...
not a fan.
Not a fan.
No.
Weapon degradation and having to maintain them, not a fan.
No.
Not a big fan of that one across multiple franchises. That's not just a Zelda thing, but there's just those inclusions just didn't feel like Zelda to me.
Yeah, I get that.
Even though it's very that franchise has been very fluid for a long time, and it's never really been the same for the most part, outside of maybe the dungeon sort of structure that they'd always had until Breath of the Wild. It's changed
Yeah.
a lot, but these were some changes that I just couldn't click with. But what we're
Yeah.
seeing in Breath of the Wild, there's just been a couple little hints that I looked at that and I've gone, are you killing off the weapon degradation here? Like, am I about to
Mm.
think of this game as the best game of 2022? Like, have you won me over at last?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people seem to be just like 50-50 split. Like, yes, I loved it. No, I hated it. Get rid of it. So it's gonna be a polarizing choice either way, I think.
Absolutely.
Um, I totally get what you mean. There were some elements of Breath of the Wild where I was like, it doesn't feel like what I would usually say a Zelda game feels like. But I think for me, there was enough kind of Zelda heart in it.
Yep.
And even outside of being a Zelda game, I just loved it for kind of what it was.
It's still a great game for what it is. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I could never sit back and
So
say it's a bad game. I'd be kidding myself if I did that.
yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't particularly into the weapon degradation stuff. The cooking I was terrible at, and I didn't love it, but I still kind of hear the sounds of it happening in my
Yep.
dreams sometimes. So, it's I'm ready to see what changes they decide to make with the second one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I mean, they're going to be like, now that they've kind of indicated the 2022 window, there's going to be a fairly steady trickle, I'd imagine, of content and details around it and people getting opportunities to go hands on and all those really fantastic things. I'm just excited at the prospect that maybe it won't be going head to head with Horizon Forbidden West. If it can just
Yeah.
not cut Aloy's lunch, that'd be fantastic.
Yep. I feel that it's going to be a big year, and I need them. I need to have the time with each of them separately.
Yes,
So, yeah, I agree.
fingers
Definitely,
crossed.
please keep them separate, far
So,
enough apart.
yeah, so that leaves the
Mm.
things that didn't show up. And I
Hmm.
think probably our best starting point is maybe to focus on the Switch Pro or whatever it
Hmm.
ultimately gets called, the
Hmm.
upgraded Switch that everyone has been
Yeah.
talking about. I think there's been
Um.
far too many insiders and the Jason Schreiers of the world that are all saying
Hmm.
the same thing that I think we all believe it's true. And I think the fact that it
Mm.
didn't show up today, I don't
Mm.
think that changes anything in most people's minds,
No.
but it does reset some expectations in terms of timelines.
Yeah. I think most people are going with the Switch Pro as being like what it'll be called. I still like Super Nintendo Switch. I think that would be a
That'd be
fun
awesome.
little leap. Um, but yeah, I think the 2022 window for Breath of the Wild 2 still leaves that open.
Yeah,
Kind of what everyone was expecting, which was that maybe it'll be
they're
kind of a
attached.
launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it just feels inevitable. I don't know. On one hand, I'm like maybe Nintendo saw what was happening with Xbox and PlayStation and how then kind of new things launched and
Yeah.
decided like no, the chaos is not for us. We don't need it. But they're releasing all these games that are, big and I think need the processing power of
Yeah.
something more. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
some of those third-party titles, like say a Doom Eternal, for example,
Mm.
have performed pretty poorly, and even things like The Witcher 3, for example, when it came across, that was an ugly mess. Like, it did not come up well at all. So, it's starting to show its age in a few areas there, and it's certainly important that it does get that sort of upgraded sometime soon. Whether it ends up being a Switch Pro or, I mean, it was 2017 now, like, and Nintendo tends to
Yeah.
rotate their consoles every 5 years.
Mhm.
Maybe it's even just a brand new console at this point. Might still be kind of in that Switch family, but maybe it's Switch 2, for
Yeah.
example.
Maybe.
That would be really fascinating.
Mhm.
But I think, yeah, everyone had kind of attached it to Zelda. And then
Mm.
as soon as we saw 2022 for Breath of the Wild, it became obvious, I think, in
Yeah.
most people's minds that that's where the console's going to land to. So
Yeah.
a bit of a shame, but we've got plenty to look forward to still, regardless of all that, through Metroid and all those sorts of things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So much.
Is there anything else that didn't show that you would really have loved to have seen?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted some kind of anniversary collection for Zelda.
Yep.
Like Mario got.
I mean,
Is that
maybe
just
it
because
might
I
still
want to
happen.
play? I mean, maybe. Like I do just want to play Ocarina of Time on every single Nintendo console, it turns out.
Yeah.
Um, just over and over again. Um, or like Wind Waker, like I know Wind Waker was already kind of redone for the Wii U, but like all of them, it's like I start listing them and I'm
Just
like,
port
but
it.
what if they redid Ocarina of Time? What if they did Wind Waker? What if they did Twilight Princess? Like it really just every single Zelda title, I'm like, what if you just gave
Yeah,
me
but
a
I
way
mean,
to play it on the Switch?
you're definitely onto something though. And I mean, like not Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker have already gotten those kind of remaster upgrades that you typically expect of these games on the Switch. So for their cases, it's just purely a port. It's something like an Ocarina of Time, for example. That would be the really fascinating one.
Well, I mean, they did it for the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which is not quite the same, but
yeah, if they were to do something on the Switch, I don't know about you, but I feel like if it's coming to Switch, it's full-on remake stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they could go and put just a buffed up a Nintendo 64 title on a Switch and say, "Hey, here's your Ocarina of Time." Especially in charge of premium, like they 100% would.
Oh, absolutely they would, and I would fall for it like a sucker.
20-year-old game.
Yeah, but I hope they don't. I think there's a lot of room there for them to do it, and I think there's a lot of demand there for them to do it. So I don't know.
Your 35th anniversary Zelda stuff, and whether it includes Ocarina of Time or maybe it's just the 2 Wii U remasters, I firmly of the mind, and especially now that Breath of the Wild 2 has moved out of this year, am of the mind that those remasters will happen, and they will happen before the end of the year. But they don't want to announce them before before Skyward Sword comes out, because then they're kind of eating their own lunch and taking away the possibility and potential sales-wise, marketing-wise for Skyward Sword. Because otherwise, like you said, it would be a fairly lackluster sort of 30. As much as I don't understand Nintendo's thing about like 25th anniversaries and 35th anniversaries. 25, I guess, quarter of a century, but 35 is odd. But they celebrate it regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way to put your bow on the end of on the end of the 35th anniversary for Zelda. It's just they can't do it until they get their new release out first. So that could be the key with that one. Any other games at all?
Yeah.
Any other games at all for you that were missing that you're I'm not going to say distressed by, but maybe it was a little confusing, a little puzzling?
I'm not distressed. I think a lot of people expected to see Animal Crossing, to see something for Animal Crossing.
Yep.
And that kind of didn't show up, which, I don't know what I would have expected of anything, but I guess because it was so huge last year, it kind of, I thought they might try to breathe some life back into it.
Bayonetta 3 for me.
Bayonetta 3, yeah.
I understand the Metroid scenario. They handballed that over to a new, not a new developer, the original developers. And so you've kind of had to restart development. But Bayonetta, there should be no excuse. And especially with how Babylon's Fall looked at Square Enix, you thought, clearly they're putting all their resources into Bayonetta then. And then Bayonetta doesn't show. So So we're getting a shit game in the... Well, sorry, I shouldn't speak too generally. A game that hasn't presented well in the form of Babylon's Fall.
Yeah.
And then a game that everyone's desperately looking forward to and just hasn't shown up at all. So that one kind of surprised me a little bit.
I think it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah. And Donkey Kong. There'd been lot of rumors about Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And I would have been pretty happy with that, but
yeah, Donkey Kong would have been great. Like, it's an anniversary for Donkey Kong as well, right?
Yeah, isn't that 40 years or something since the original? Which is insane. But apparently they're not going to celebrate unless it's 45th.
5 years and we'll get more Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Oh dear.
It's been ages since new Donkey Kong.
Yeah, because the only thing we've had is Tropical Freeze. That was 2013, 14? Somewhere in that sort of window anyway. And all we've seen is kind of the remasters. So it's been a long time coming.
It has. Come on, Nintendo.
Look after the Kongs. Do them justice. Any other closing thoughts at all from you in terms of the overall presentation or again other games?
Look, honestly, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with how that direct went. Like we said before, I think there was something for everybody, no matter what you wanted. Unless you specifically wanted Donkey Kong and only Donkey Kong, I guess. But otherwise, I think there was plenty. Yeah. Oh, actually, I think a lot of people thought there might be more Mario Kart. A lot of people thought Mario Kart might be due for Mario Kart 9.
It's so obviously due for a new game, but it continues to top the charts, and so Nintendo's going. I only just imagine that there's the executives, probably Miyamoto there with him, even though he stepped right back, just sitting on their mountains of gold and saying, there's the game. We could put it out now, or we could continue to sell Mario Kart 8 for the next 5 years, continue to see millions of dollars come in, and then maybe just release it on the next console. Like, we'll just push it out the door and launch.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's annoying, but you're so right. Like, it's gonna keep selling. There's no way people don't keep just buying.
It's like GTA. It just
Yeah.
keeps selling despite
How?
all logic.
I don't understand. I don't understand GTA 5. Like,
No.
Mario Kart, sure, it's one of those things. You just get the latest one to play with friends, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because it is what it is, and nothing else is quite Mario Kart. But GTA, I don't get it.
I still can't believe that hasn't come to Switch yet.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly,
it's
they're bringing
everywhere.
everything else. Yeah. But no,
I don't know.
I think overall really positive. I think there have been a couple of kind of lackluster presentations from some of the companies at E3, and so the bar
Very
was
understated. I
falling,
like it.
falling, as it got closer, and I think Nintendo did better than a lot of people expected. And I
They
thought it
sent
was
E3
great.
off on a high.
They did for sure. Yeah.
Well, Jess, thank you very much for coming aboard and sharing all your thoughts on the Nintendo's E3 2021 Nintendo Direct. I think, like you, I think they did a fantastic job and really spoke to lots of different people, gave everyone a few games to enjoy, and I think that's the kind of the perfect conference in that sense. If everyone comes away with something, you've nailed it.
Yep.
You've done a fair bit around E3 as well. You're doing a ton for Player 2 as well. So people should obviously go check all that out on the website. But if people are looking to keep track of what you're up to on a more day-to-day sort of basis, where would they be best to go?
They would probably be best to follow me on Twitter at Zammit Jess.
Perfect.
Or on Player 2.
Yeah, the Player 2 website, the YouTube channel, like I said, just doing a bit more in the YouTube space as well, doing a fantastic job there too. So keep an eye out for some of that. I believe we've got a... I'm not sure if you're happy for me to announce this. There's a full playthrough series dedicated to a RPG franchise that you're a big fan of in Dragon Age. So
coming soonish.
when that begins, we'll get back to you on that. But Jess is just chipping away at it, and you'll see it soon enough. And I'm sure it'll be fantastic. So look forward to that one. For me, you can find me at Paul James Games. The website is Player2AU, and like I said before, go check out our Season of Gaming hub there, where we've got a whole bunch of content related to E3, related to Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. That event itself is still going the entire Northern Hemisphere summer, so we're going to see probably some PlayStation content pop up as they start to respond, I guess, to what's gone on. Xbox has another event still tomorrow, which kind of follows up on all the stuff that they showed off. There'll be other Nintendo Directs. I'm sure we'll see other little streams and those sort of things pop up. So despite the fact that E3 is done, and that is kind of the big thing right now, expect to see a lot more going up in that on that hub. And maybe I'll be using this format again to kind of bring more people on to share some of their thoughts with some of the other streams going forward. So stay tuned to all that on the website, on the YouTube channel. There'll be lots of stuff there. Again, Jess, thank you very much for coming aboard and sharing all your thoughts.
Anytime. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Whenever there's a stream worth discussing, we'll have someone in and look forward to seeing you then. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you later.